Welcome to the Top Hill Recording Podcast, where we like to debut some pretty awesome artists. And today we have been absolutely blessed to have this killer band in on the podcast and just rocking our heads off. And we are so excited to talk with them. But yeah, today's special guest is Otis.
Welcome, fellas. You all fucking killed it in this room. Like, I know we had some technical difficulties. As if you're watching the podcast, you can see Neil is not here at the moment. He's in the back. He just got here from vacation. These fellas not only are great musicians, incredibly patient, and have been just chilling with us for God knows how long now. But those 4 tunes, killer, man. Like, and I've said this a couple times in here, but every now and then a band comes in, like, kind of blows me away a little bit. Like, I listened to your all's recordings, and I thought it'd be cool. You all are one of the most badass bands we've had in this room, straight up. Like, I don't know if you all are familiar with Bedford Band, but kind of gives me those vibes. I dig the, like, kind of 70s Southern rock sound.
Oh, yeah.
Vocals, killer vocals.
Absolutely. And too, like, I'm a huge fan of Southern rock music and blues and roots music. And there were so many artists, that I could hear that you guys take inspiration from and stuff like that. And too, a little bit earlier, I was reading your guys' little bio, and it said that you guys got to not only listen to these guys, to the giants of the industry, but you also got to meet some, got to talk to some, and got to learn some tricks and stuff like that about the trade. So, I saw that you guys got to talk to the Billy Gibbons, and which is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
A huge ZZ Top fan, but yeah, I was just wondering, what was that like, getting to meet the man, getting to talk to him.
Quote for your Spotify bio too. I mean, you got several cool quotes on there.
Absolutely.
Meeting Billy was amazing. He's a very, very gracious person, and he's one of those people there. He's just as much interested in you as you are in him, which is always great when you meet somebody where it's not like, they're just waiting for the conversation to be over. He's not that guy. He really cares, and he's interested, and he has a encyclopedia like knowledge of blues music and amplifiers, whatever it is you want to talk about. But it was kind of a chance meeting. Greg Martin, the guitar player from the Kentucky Headhunters, and myself were in Nashville. We went to attend the funeral of Government Mule's original guitar tech, Brian Farmer. And on the way home, we got a call, and Greg let down his phone. He said, Billy Gibbons is calling. So he answers the phone, and Billy's like, Greg, are you around Nashville by chance? We're delayed for a couple of days. There's something going on with the tour, so I'm gonna hang in Nashville for a couple of days. And if you're around, let me know. So of course we turned the van around and went and ate dinner with Billy and his wife, Gilligan. And toward the end of the night, Greg graciously handed over one of our first album, Tribute to John Brim, and said, hey, man, listen to this sometime. And we thought, yeah, he'll never listen to that. But sure enough, the next couple of days, he gave Greg a call and was like, where'd you find this band? What's the deal? How did they record this? And he was going on about the performance, and we're like, hey, can we have a press quote to use? And he said, yeah, my office will be in touch. So we got a nice press quote from Billy, and even his studio engineer called us and was like, how'd you get the sounds on this record, and what were your influences and that type of thing. And then went on. He started mentioning us in podcasts and interviews, and he's had me out at a couple of ZZ shows since, and I got to see him. I went with the Headhunters out on the Rock Legends cruise this year, and I got to kind of reconnect Billy and see his solo band with Matt Sorum and Austin Hanks, which was really, really cool. And of course, nerd out over all his great Magnatone amps and cool guitars. But obviously, we're very, very influenced by Billy Gibbons, not just the music, but just like his style, his choice of gear. It's just the whole ZZ Top thing is just it's amazing. So to have somebody like that, jump in there and say, yeah, I'm gonna stick my neck out and mention you guys is a really big honor.
Yeah. So I mean, getting to meet someone that, I feel like all of us rock and roll kids really, really look up to. So I'm just kind of curious from meeting the legends and the heroes, exactly where did you all begin? Like where was the start of not only the band Otis, but also your all's individual influences and how you all got together and just kind of found each other to create this awesome band?
We all in our own way come from musical families. My my grandfather was a old time fiddle player, and my dad played in bands growing up. He played like honky tonk Bakersfield style music, and oddly enough, John's brother Joe Seeley ended up in my dad's band, and then he needed to get married or take a vacation or whatnot. John, what was the situation?
He went on a honeymoon and needed me to fill in for him while he was gone. I ended up taking the gig.
Heck yeah.
And he got married, and when they got back from the honeymoon, he's like, "Hey man, looks like you're having fun." It was the first live gig I ever had, so it was all nerves and stuff when I first went in there. And then after a couple of weeks, they'd been gone, came back, and he's like, "Hey, I just got married. I don't want to be over here every weekend, so you go ahead and take it." And that's how me and Boone got to know each other.
It's super cool.
I don't think I've ever actually tried out for a band. I've always been tricked into getting one. I've always wanted to be a studio musician because I was real big into like John 5 in the early days and Jimmy Page especially. And so every band I've ever been in, except for one, I've literally been duped into getting into. And it's not been for the bad. And I've learned so much with it. So it's kind of started at an early age. I basically was invited to go play at a little gig out in the sticks. I was 13. I cried and I had stage fright and I told my parents I wanted to go home. And then after that, I was like, I don't care if my leg's broken. I'm going to be on the stage from now on. So, and then that's pretty much been the end of the story after that. So
mine's real similar. Yeah. I was in, we all grew up around the same area, but I would sneak out against my parents' wishes when I was like 14, 15. And I would go into bars and watch local bands. And I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I went with a buddy who was friends with the guy that was playing, and he walks off stage, and it was like the coolest thing ever. And he was like, "So what are you guys playing with us tonight?" And I was like, "I'm hooked." So 2 or 3 months later, his drummer flaked, and I just started playing, and it went from there, doing bar stuff. But my dad's a luthier, my mom's a sound engineer, and my grandfather was a session bassist back in like the 50s and 60s. So I get it pretty honest, coming from bars, honky tonk.
You never told me your
blues.
grandfather was a session bassist.
He was.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
a session bassist.
Wow.
Everybody's going to learn something today.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I've already learned something.
Well, so just like coming from just all those little bitty places of being able to sneak out at night and going and seeing these shows and seeing all these local bands. Who were some of your guys' like super, super early influences to where you were just like, oh yeah, I'm totally going there. Like no matter what, I'm going to go see that show because I need to see the magic that's happening on stage. And then too, because whenever you guys were playing, I heard so many different influences, a little Skinnerd here and there, a little Dwayne Allman from the Allman Brothers, all kinds of stuff. So like, what were those early influences like in seeing those and going and, just experiencing that?
I ran before I walked, learning how to play guitar. I was very, very dumb and very cocksure of myself on one thing. And I was like, I ain't playing rhythm. I'm going to play lead. But my dad is the one that started me with it. He would play acoustic all the time on that Sigma Martin, and I just adored it. It was just great. And of course, my uncle Chris Hardesty, he's played in a numerous amount of bands. One big one is like Rufus Huff's Super Fuzz and the Fender Benders, and he was always around. Didn't get a chance to catch him every now and then, but I got to get some talks with him. Gave me some great advice that I will not repeat here. But the guy that changed my life with guitar, honestly, I have to mention my cousin Cody Whitaker. Him and my father literally just changed the world for me on like hearing music, because I cannot read music to save my life. I tried, and a choir teacher about kicked my ass on that one, but he didn't like it. I was learning. He's like, "Here, learn this," and I started playing it. And he's like, "Okay, that's way more complicated than playing single notes." I'm like, I kind of know how to play. But other than that, he taught me 50 stuff. I have to say, I guess Mr. Dockery from the high school, BCHS. If you know it, you know it. But Cody Whitaker definitely. But Buckethead changed my life, honestly. I know he's not so out there, but I saw a video of him on YouTube, and I was dying to see him. And I was begging my parents. I was doing everything I could. I was going around the whole entire neighborhood trying to see what chores and stuff I could do to like build up some type of money or anything to get over there. And of course, I got about halfway, and then mom, dad just said, "Screw it, we'll just go there," and took it. And that right there, that just sucked me in. I was hooked from then, especially seeing that 6'5" giant, like, good God. And how he just played, it just, that really like just tickled my brain so much. I just wanted to do all of that, but I lacked rhythm. So later on, I ended up getting a little bit better with rhythm, and playing in this band has definitely excelled my rhythm, because if I didn't, I would absolutely blow it every show.
For me, growing up in the area that we grew up in, the Kentucky Headhunters were a big deal to us, and being able to see those guys, the first couple of times live was really magical, because what I heard growing up on the radio, that Headhunters was not the same Headhunters that I got to see, which was really cool. So, when they played songs from like Grass Stank Ranch and Soul was such a huge inspiration to us. And then also the fact of you could drive around town and you could see them leaving out or coming in and see their bus at Houchins, little old grocery store we got in town. And it's kind of like, you don't have to move to Nashville or LA or whatever the big city may be. You can build something, unique from your hometown, and it can take you around the world. And we've got to do that and have our own experience with it.
Real similar to Alex, I started out wanting to be a studio player, so I would listen to all my life. I'd heard Michael Jackson records and Michael Bolton and just all kind of stuff from the 80s. And then I found out that Jeff Porcaro was the one playing drums on that from Toto. So that's where I started. But when I was really young, just like Boone said, I saw the Headhunters. And so it's just like a hodgepodge of the different session players and rock and roll stars. Because like Bonham, and I love Bonham and Matt Apps from Government Mule just as much as I would Jim Keltner or James Gadsden. And that's really where I kind of find my niche, is right in that area.
So, all right, influences. You grow up, you listen to the radio, you hear whatever you happen to hear. People around you are playing whatever music they like, and you don't really know what your style is, what you've defined to be, what I listen to, what I like, what I want to play like. But after you've spent all these years listening to whatever you are exposed to, you finally start, something, so you hear something and it just clicks. And he just said a name earlier, Alex did, Rufus Huff. So,
amen.
We'd all heard Skynyrd, we'd all heard all the great Southern rock bands, but here comes little old Rufus Huff, which is Greg Martin on guitar from the Headhunters, his uncle Chris Hardesty, Dean Smith on bass, huge bass influence for me.
Fantastic guy too, just coolest man you could ever meet.
And then let's see, that was Jared England on the vocals, incredible singer. So this band just got this energy about it that I've never heard anybody else do. Absolutely. You asked about going all out to get to a gig. Like I have to make it to that one. So back before Boone was old enough to get in, there was this club that Rufus Huff played at called Tidball's in Bowling Green. You might have heard of that.
Oh yeah.
Great little venue. We loved playing there. And the Huff was playing there. So we tried to go down and get in working for the band. He was maybe 19 or so. And of course, the place is absolutely zero tolerance. If you're not 21, you're not getting in, period. And they always stuck to that. So it's snowing. We're standing outside looking through this little window to watch Rufus Huff throw down, and it changed our lives even out there, So that was a big one. After Rufus Huff, though, kind of in line, I guess, it would be Government Mule for me, Alan Woody on the bass, another incredible, exceptional bassist, and then Allman Brothers and all that other stuff, like I said, that you're normally exposed to, your Hendrix, your Cream, and all those wonderful bands that most people have probably gotten to hear. Definitely always played a big influence role for me.
Cool. I would love to talk a little bit about your all's recordings. I know it sounds like other people are also interested on how you recorded that stuff, because it sounds fucking awesome. I mean, the recorded stuff sounds great. The studio stuff. Where did you all do that?
The first two albums were done at Barrick's Recording in Glasgow, engineered by David Barrick. And the second record we did straight to 2-inch tape, which is something that we always wanted to do. So especially with drums, there's such a big difference in recording to tape. And then there was a couple edits that we went back in Pro Tools and did, but just like the experience of when you record the tape, it's a little more serious. Like you really gotta be on your game and go in there and try to get the band and knock it out in a couple of takes.
Yeah, you gotta nail it. Yeah,
because otherwise you're sitting there, you're burning money, you're burning tape, you're burning time. So just being able to do that was incredible. The first record we had Greg Martin producing. And we brought in Jimmy Hall to play harmonica. If you're not familiar with Jimmy, he was the frontman singer for the Southern rock band Wet Willie. He also sang on the Flash album with Jeff Beck and did a lot of touring with Jeff. And he's also Hank Williams Jr.'s band leader. So he gets to do a variety of things. So it was to be around Jimmy was just amazing for us. He would nail it on the first take and be unsure of himself and want to do 2 or 3 more takes. So that's just the kind of guy Jimmy is. And he was really taken back by the band. He's like, man, this is like a modern day Canned Heat or something. He said this was a really fun project. And for the first one, Tough Times, a tribute to John Brim. John Brim was a blues man from Kentucky. He grew up around Hopkinsville, moved to Chicago in his teens, and he was on Chess Records with Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and all the greats. So we wanted to pay tribute to that, Kentucky blues influence because we're known for bluegrass music and country and other kinds of music, but not really for the blues as much. So it was Greg's idea for us to kind of take those songs and kind of put our own spin on them, and a really fun album to make.
Well, it sounds fucking awesome. Yeah,
thanks,
all
man.
your recorded stuff. I know you have you played the song today. It was There's a Break in the Road. That sounds so good on the recording because that's just a single, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
Do you all have plans for a bigger project with that, or is it just a single for now?
It's a single for now. That's the direction we're headed in. We recorded that one down in Franklin, Tennessee, at a place called the Rock House with Kevin McKendry. And Kevin's played for Brian Setzer and George Thorogood, Delbert McClinton, all sorts of big names. So it was a real thrill to work with Kevin, and we went in there and did it completely live and got it in a couple of takes. And the next single that's coming out as well was recorded with Kevin. So we had a fun time working with him.
Well, I mean, it sounds like I've said it a bunch, but it sounds great. Like we get all kinds of bands in here, and sometimes they sound cool in the room, but the recordings maybe don't quite add up because it's hard. It's hard to get really good recordings. But I think first and foremost, you all have a super tight band with just a dope sound. And so I feel like that always helps. But you're certainly working with the right people because I really dig the recordings. I listened to them all day at work today and on the way over, and I really, really like them.
Thank you.
Big time.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and you all sound like the recording too when you're in the room. I know in here you have to be a little bit on the quiet side, but it sounded dope in the headphones. It really
hopefully we get it down right. I mean, it took us a good minute to get it.
So
I'm hoping we get it right. Yeah.
I could only imagine with all the different syncopations that you guys do and the different harmonies. I mean, especially, I can't remember which tune it was, but you all went into this bossa nova kind of beat, and that was wild to go from a heavy Southern rock tune, and then we're gonna lay it back here just for a second. It was freaking nasty.
Yeah, that's the fun
That's
part.
a tune called Shake You. It is an absolute monster recording from them, and it's so much fun to play because it's a daunting task at first to sit there and go, oh yeah, this is okay. We don't count, we feel. So if you try and count it, you'll lose it immediately. There's no way you can play it if you count it. If you don't have that feel with it, especially when it gets to that Latin samba part,
it's bad. When I started playing with these guys, they never told me to learn anything. And they were like, all right, we just want you to come in. We're going to jam. We're going to see if it feels good.
That's what happened to me.
I was like, okay, great. So that happened to Alex. It happened to me just a little bit after that. And then they were like, well, do you know any of our stuff? And I was like, let's do Shake You. And they were like, let's dial it back.
No, I said, go for it. Let's see what you got.
Oh, no, John gave it. John
said, go for it. They looked unsure. Then we played
it's a tough song, so
it was really fun.
That he had that one down. That was like, okay, this young man, actually got it together and learned something. So that one, being able to nail a song like that without having worked with us on it, just by listening to it and be able to play through it front to back.
Oh, it came very easy. We banged out that track, and it was almost instant chemistry at that point. It was
it felt really
it felt really, really good. It was just felt like home. Like it just felt really good.
Yeah, well, you all have a tight sound. It's cool. Like I said, we get all kinds of bands in here. Some they're all pretty decent, but some stand out. And like we've been lucky the last couple podcasts to have some really dope acts come through. I mean, you all are not ones that I'm gonna forget. Like very, very cool. I just dig the sound. You definitely have gained a fan in me. I wanted to ask too, like, because I am a little bit new to your all's act and stuff. Like, where are you playing mostly? Around Kentucky? Do you travel much? Like, what you been up to?
We're playing a little bit of everywhere. In the past, we've played all over the United States. We've been in Europe twice. Had the pleasure to play Ramblin' Man Fair with folks like Cheap Trick and Foreigner. We played what's the name of that castle, John?
Oh, Caerphilly Castle in Wales.
Yeah, we got to play there. Berg Herzberg Festival in Germany, which is a festival that's 2 years older than Woodstock, but is much the same type of festival. We got
peace, love, the whole thing.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing. But looking into the future, on June 28th, we're going to be in Renfro Valley, Kentucky, opening up for Jackal.
Sweet. Yeah,
And,
that's a cool spot. Is it at the big place in Renfro?
Yeah,
the old Larn Theater.
At the big room. It's really surprising because as a rock band, that's a place that we never really thought that we get to play. But it's such an honor because it's one of the most well-known music venues in Kentucky.
Iconic,
it's a big deal to play there. That's a cool spot.
We got another one that's personally a big one coming up for us, and that's playing the Iridium in New York City.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be killer.
Yeah, we're gonna be opening for Chicago blues great Wayne Baker Brooks there, and we got some gigs kind of all over. Got some more support gigs with Jackal, some shows with the Kentucky Headhunters, surprise, and but yeah, a lot of fun things to look forward to. And as I was talking to you earlier, we're talking about the Allman Brothers. We're getting to play the Georgia Allman Brothers Band Association Festival this year, which is really exciting because they're going to have Sonny Landreth as the headliner. So one of the greatest slide guitar players in the world. So it's always the thrill. When we go to Macon, we always go to Rose Hill Cemetery and pay our respects to the guys and go to the museum. It's really a pilgrimage for us as a band.
It's a heavy experience being there at Rose Hill. I mean, yeah, you
Very
get to see it. You're there, and then you see it, and you're just like, whoa! Like it just almost takes your breath away. You're like, you got to thank the greats right there, so that way you know, just good homage right there.
Yeah, I've had some buddies in a band called Mojo Thunder.
Yeah,
and they've played the Big House and stuff like that, and they were saying the exact same thing. They were like, the amount of weight that you feel whenever you walk in there and then you do see them and you're just like, man, like this is them. Like they're here. And you can feel the energy in a way, is what they said. But I was just curious too, from traveling so much and from being with these greats, what are some things that you guys have learned either about different spots, different venues, stuff like that, like, was there a nightmare gig to where you're like, oh yeah, now we know we're never going to do, this again or something like that. Like what are some of the things that you guys have picked up while touring and being with these greats?
I'll make sure to check my wall pedal at sound check. I know that. Ain't nothing greater than looking like a fool, getting all these like stank faces going, and you hit that wall pedal and there ain't no power to it, and you're sitting there and you're like rocking out to it, but there ain't no sound going on. You look like a complete fool.
And this is why we love Alex.
I felt so, that was probably my dumbest moment, I think, so far.
It's interesting. We've always had more in common with the older guys that have been out there and done it than we do with people our own age. So when we're around them, we really take a lot from them and in the way they do things. And when they come up, this business had a different class than it does now, and it's a different etiquette. So we always try to pick up on those things. It's like, especially like these support act shows. It's like, it doesn't matter as much how good you are. It matters that you're out of the way at this time and you're here at this time. That's something that we have to work hard to.
You got to treat it like a job. I mean, it is a job.
Yeah. So we try to play a good show and stay out of everybody's way. But all these greats are so eager to pass the torch and share information with us and say, hey guys, have you heard this record? If you haven't, check it out. Or I know the promoter at this venue. Let's see what we make happen here. So it's especially the Headhunters. They've helped us out helped us out a ton, and Billy and all these folks were around. So we're very grateful to be in the circle of bands that we're playing, and it's fun to kind of be the young guys on the block who are still trying to do it with amps and no tracks and go out there and do a real performance.
Yeah, I mean, you all are you're the real deal. Like that's the way I would describe you, big time. And it has to be like just cool as shit to look up to all these people and then end up doing these shows with them and being on these bills. Like how long have you all even been a band?
We started Otis in 2013.
13.
The first album came out in 2014. 14. So
Tough times.
Yeah,
good record.
So it's kind of been a long road and a slow growth for us, but I feel like we're doing the right things.
It sounds like you're doing. I mean, you're playing cool shows. You got great music. I mean, you got, like I said, on Spotify, those quotes are dope. When I went and saw all the quotes you had on there from people, I was like, damn, these guys are the real deal. And when I listened to the stuff, I knew you'd be cool, but hearing you in here, even cooler. So.
We always strive for the in-person live experience to be greater than the record. So,
oh yeah, it's so much more fun to play live than to just hear the record over and over. Sure. Like if you hear a live performance, you're like, oh, I can hear a mess up, but it sounds good. Like it actually works. So
human.
You can hear how a song evolves off the record. Like it's set in stone on the record, but say 5 years from now, that song could be almost completely different in a section, something added, something taken away, or just new things to add to it. So
speaking of that, I don't like to take a new song straight to the studio. I like to let it mature.
Let it stew.
At rehearsal for a couple of years, actually.
Really?
Take it out live. You shouldn't really take it out live before you've released it, but
sure, it's fun.
I've found that a song grows tremendously from the point that you first write it, first couple of times you play it, to what you end up, the feeling that you put into it a couple years down the road. So I like to stew on them for a little bit, but sometimes you just cut something and you get it right. You take it to studio, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I definitely like to let it mature, age like a fine wine.
Yeah, I mean, songs definitely change over time. Spencer's actually in my band, and
cool.
I have an album that finished. And the way I use some studio musicians because my band was kind of new, and then the way we play stuff live, it's way different. It's a whole different kind of feeling, and it's just fun. Live music, there's something I think is just magical about a group of dudes in a room.
There's no going back and getting it right when you're playing live.
No,
you just let the mistakes roll.
It just is what it is. Yep. I think that's the fun of it.
No safety net.
A song never really dies either. We're still adding things into our live show, and for songs that have been recorded for years, just to keep it keeps it interesting for us and interesting for the audience. Sometimes we'll do like a improvisational piece in front of it or at the end, and sometimes we won't. That it's we want to keep it. We want to keep every show different. We may play the same songs, but we want it to be a different experience each time, because there's folks that'll come see us 2 or 3 nights in a row, and I don't want to see the same show 2 or 3 nights in a row. So I know they don't either.
Absolutely. So how do you gauge exactly what version of the song you're gonna play? So, like, is it based off of crowd energy? Is it more or less based off of time limit? Or is it like a mixture of both, or how you guys are feeling?
It's just how the day feels, honestly. It's literally just the flavor of the day. If we're all in, like, say a mule mood, like Government Mule, we'll add a little bit of that spice to it. Or if we're sitting there listening to Howlin' Wolf, it might have more of that, kind of aesthetic with it. So it really does depend on the day that we're together and just listening to music and kind of BSing around while we're getting ready for the show. So it really does depend on the day, especially whatever we listen to.
Well, time limit's a thing too, because if you're, say opening up for Jackal, you don't want to be in the way. You don't want to take up your time slot. So you'll think, okay, we have an extra section to this song. Let's cut it out. Let's make it different. Or we could jam on something and cut another song out. So we've got all kind of options.
It sounds like you all do a lot of opening kind of sets.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've done quite a few.
That's one of my favorite things is like opening. Like I like the short set. You can go in, kind of do the bangers, get out of there, watch them with
like especially when you're opening for a killer like Jackal.
I mean,
come on, man.
With the chainsaw, just
dude, yes. I watch that show every night.
I'm going to be very selfish, but I love the hedonistic of playing a 2-hour gig nonstop and just getting everything out, because there is I tell you, there is nothing more than a tease to play 35 minutes and then get it sucked away from you. And you still got that adrenaline and you're just like, oh, I just want to just keep playing. Like that's my like unfortunate like downside to it.
Musicians are crazy. We'll drive hours and hours and hours, set up, do the sound check, get up there for 30 minutes, 30, 45
and then we're
minutes,
done. And then we're done.
turn around and go home.
We're getting ready to drive 13 hours to play 45 minutes.
Wow.
Who we?
Glad to do it. But it's
John's getting ready to drive.
You might get a chance to drive a little bit.
All right, never mind.
You better let me know,
here.
and I will go to bed so that way I do not know about that. Let me make sure that I'm napping so I don't know who's taking over.
I'm curious with how you've talked about like road trips and listening to music. Right now, we all kind of have these moments where you listen to certain music. What are you like hyper fixated on genre-wise, artist-wise? So like what are you currently listening to on repeat all the time?
Well, so I'll just dig in deep. I listen to the blues. I listen to a lot of everything. My missus really got me open-minded, but right now I don't know why, but Mick Gordon doing the Doom soundtrack for the 2016 and 2020 is all on my mind right now, and I'm all into that synths and 8-string down tuning. I love that F sharp, like just, that's gnarly bends. It's just, it's killer. I ain't played the game, but that soundtrack is amazing to me. I absolutely love it. And a little bit more of the Mars Volta and Tool right now. I've basically been listening to the 92 Beacon from Allman Brothers on repeat. There's a lot of great phrases from Warren and Dickie on there, especially Dickie. I greatly admire him. He actually is what kind of got me into the Allman Brothers as a little kid because I heard Jessica for the first time as a kid and it just blew my mind. I was like, it's the first time I ever heard an instrumental. And I was like, I don't know, 7, 8 or so like that. And I was like, you can play a song and there's no lyrics. Like, oh my God, that's fantastic. So I was just listening to Jessica on repeat all the damn time.
The guitarist would say that.
The guitarist would
Kid, look at me. Come on now. You've heard me play.
You're great, man.
For me, I try not to listen to anything that I wouldn't want coming back out in my playing because it will at some point start to bleed over into your singing and playing. So I'm an album guy too. I love to. That's how I like to listen is to just listen to a whole album, get the whole picture. That's what's been stressful about the modern industry is it's such a singles market right now, and you get to show this much of your band and what you can do as opposed to being able to put on a full length album and somebody close their eyes and lay back and listen to it. But music just isn't really being made for that purpose now, which is kind of sad. Hopefully we'll get some changes in the industry and maybe go back to that. But a lot of bands our size are just releasing singles now. But
it's hard, like because it is just the way of the world. I feel like there's nothing cooler than just an album. Like I feel the same way. Like just flipping on, whether it's on vinyl or if you're just on Spotify with headphones, and there's nothing better than just listening to a whole like piece of work. I like singles and I'll listen to that too, but
sure.
It's cool to just listen to a whole project. I feel like you do get the full picture, and it is kind of a shame that like bands like your size or like me, like it is hard to put out a whole project. Like with mine, I got to put out a bunch of singles first, and it's like
we're doing the same thing. But it was one of the most fun creative parts of being in the band is getting you get to make that track listing for the album, and this song goes into that song, and it's this whole thing. Especially with Eyes of the Sun, we did that and had the opportunity to stick an instrumental in the middle called Relief and C that was kind of like a break between both parts of the album, and it's just that's the way I grew up listening to albums. I love especially like bands like the Allman Brothers or Yes or Santana. You have that amazing artwork, and you can go through the liner notes, and it's just it just feels so lame to type something in and look it up as opposed to flipping through your records.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm a big record collector.
Right on.
And so like as of recently, I've been getting in, I've been trying to learn fiddle tunes and get into bluegrass a little bit more and stuff like that. So I've been collecting, of course, like the Tony Rice records and all that type of stuff. And one thing I did notice is in those little bitty liner notes, you can see who they thank. Yeah. And then they also say, I was inspired by these artists. So what I've realized is if you really pay attention to the back of these albums, you can go on a complete rabbit hole of people to listen to and to check out. And it just kind of furthers your thinking of like, I can totally see how Tony Rice took Clarence White's stuff and really made it into his own, and then vice versa, other way around.
An album tells a story in so many ways, man. Speaking of bluegrass, we just had the opportunity to play the Duncan Hines Days Festival.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Sam Bush was headlining. And that's like one of those that we never thought we'd get to play with, because it's such a space between what we do and what Sam does. But if you're a fan of jam music, you can kind of see where the two connect. But it was really cool. And a couple songs into the set, he did "This Heart of Mine," from the early Newgrass stuff.
Yes,
and,
sir.
That was just that was really cool to be on a show with him. It was Government Cheese was there too, which is another classic
killer,
Kentucky band.
Killer.
So we had a big time.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of curious back on what y'all were talking about with like how it's a singles market.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think, this is kind of from my perspective, more like on the pop side of music. How do you think like maybe per se pop music has kind of changed that for worse or for better?
Oh,
with
worse.
like current day, like
My opinion, worse. I don't
2010.
care what you say. It's going to be worse because it just sounds like the exact same chord progression, just changed in keys. And it's almost like I can see there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. Like producers, I think, are way better than the artists, because if you didn't have those producers, you wouldn't have nearly as good of songs as you would out there. Although, albeit it's a bit barren for me, but I do find a lot that are absolutely like just killer to listen to, because you can listen to it and if you listen and break it down, you can actually see like, oh, that'd actually be a really cool guitar riff, or that would be a good bass line. Like, it's all about perspective with it. But worse, I think. There's
the producers, like the thing about popular music today is most of the producers are doing things not in studio. They're flying tracks out. They're creating the same samples, using the same websites to pull their samples from.
It's all emails.
It's all emails, and the reason that everything sounds the same is because you have this set market of things that are popular, and everybody is too scared to lose money and go out and try and do something different and change everything. And it's become kind of this unwritten rule of, okay, this is what we can allow in this music. This is what we can't allow in this music. So you've got to kind of look at it that way. Whereas in our stuff, blues, there's no rules in blues. Rock and roll, we can get away with whatever we want to get away with on stage.
Like, follow the feeling.
Yeah, like Shake You. Like, we go into that Boston. Exactly. Yeah. That's why. You don't hear that.
We pay the price for our freedom, though. We're kind of in a precarious position because there is no radio market anymore for our type of music. Rock radio's dead. It's been dead a while.
Yeah.
And the other forms of radio are struggling to survive too. I think the big shift from folks going to the store and buying records to the streaming has really, really made it hard, because even big artists are having a hard time, selling records, and the labels. We'll probably see at some point in our time where labels will start to become extinct, because why put that amount of money into something that you're never going to get it back from? I mean, John and I were going through our statements the other day, and it's like, a quarter of a penny a play, half of a penny a play. I mean, it's laughable. There's so much other things that they just shouldn't. They shouldn't have the power to determine the value of music. And that's just it hurts everybody, which is turned to what we do into more of a ticket sales T-shirt business more than a music making record business. So we have to learn to adapt to that and get out and play more, and just keep doing what we do.
Absolutely. And you can definitely see that, like if you do want to go see like a big artist that is touring, and like hell, Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind and Fire were just over here like last week. And ticket prices makes you want to throw up.
Oh god!
Like for nosebleeds, it was like $200-$300 for like nosebleed seats. And then you got to think, it's like, okay, is this Ticketmaster or is this
a scalper or anything like that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
like what's going on here? Because normally those tickets are like $20-$30.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that. And then because the artist can't make money off of full ticket sales, they got to ramp up their merch prices. So then these t-shirts that used to be $20-$25 are now $40, $80, $100 for these t-shirts and stuff like that. And so but one cool thing I've really noticed is with, smaller groups, that aren't on this massive circuit with these massive labels, is they understand that and they create this really cool community of like, hey, we know that you can't spend $40 on a t-shirt on top of going to a festival, on top of paying for food and gas and blah, 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 blah. So then they make it actually reasonable. And two, like I wish the masses would really see, like, if you go to these local shows, you're going to see better bands, you're going to have a better time. And two, you actually get to talk with them and hang out with them
interact
afterwards.
a little bit, get to know us or get to know you. I mean, it's absolutely fun to. I can speak for myself. I don't know about them, but I definitely will say it's a lot of fun to be able to talk to somebody after a show and like before and after. That's like you kind of get a feeling and they don't really know, and then they hear you and they're like, "Oh man, that was great. That was absolutely like y'all killed it." And it's like, "Thank you." Like it's good to get that like affirmation, but at the same time, it drives you because you're like you almost want to be. I don't know, I guess narcissistic in a way. It's like, yeah, of course we're good. But then at the same time, you have that little doubt of like, well, maybe we're not.
Players.
Like, yeah. Oh, you want to talk about that?
Lord.
Listen to the drummers. I guarantee you, they're worse than guitar players.
Man. No, it's what he's saying is really true. Because like John was talking about with Rufus Huff, it's like you're able to watch these guys play this flawless set, which Chris Hardesty is one of my drumming heroes. Which it's crazy because I can just go talk to that guy after him playing that incredible set and take things from him, and that's what makes what we do such a human element. That's what you hear on the music, the records, live performance. It's all just it feels like home for a reason because it is.
Oh yeah,
So it just all this talk about playing shows and stuff like that. I'm extremely curious to see what you guys got coming up in terms of, either recording new songs, recording an album, throwing out some more singles, playing, like a festival circuit or something of that nature.
Well, we're building up to all those things. We got a new single coming out on July 16th. Is that right? Got it right. And obviously working toward talking to some labels to get a full album release out there. And ever since we started back, there's been interest in us going back to the UK, going back to Europe. So that's something we want to do. And of course, a ton of touring here at home and getting out, playing with some other bands, and just doing what we do and scaling it up and building it and hanging out and going to Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell.
Amen.
For the love of music, right?
Yep.
Wherever you can get the fuel, right?
I don't know about y'all. I'm here for the food.
You're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Chick-fil-A order? Like sandwich, nuggets.
Ask Alex.
What's your go-to order? There we go.
Yeah, his is more complicated than anything.
Yeah, let me tell you, I don't really eat Chick-fil-A unless I'm out with these guys.
Then why do you complicate it?
Why do I
Guitar
complicate
players.
it? Easily. Number one, no
Always.
pickles. Give me that. How about that?
No pickles.
I'm a sandwich. I'm always sandwiches for me.
Oh.
And then, lovely. So actually, everyone, this is my sister Meg for the podcast. She's joining us today. She's in town.
All right.
She had a few questions she wrote down. Do you want to take over? Yeah, she
Don't
Go
be
for it.
embarrassed.
No, I'm good. So I'm really curious. I kind of want to go back to your song "Shake You." I've really been into that kind of bossa nova sort of jazz vibe, like as of the past couple of months. So I'm very curious, kind of like what inspired you guys to kind of add that little element of that kind of bossa nova into that song.
For a big part of it, well, we love jazz. We listen to a lot of jazz on the road, like bebop jazz, like
Blakey.
Art Blakey and the
Yeah,
Jazz
amazing.
Messengers, and Shirley Scott and Stanley Turntime. Of course, Miles Davis. We love Miles Davis. But kind of what brought us to that music was the Allman Brothers Band, because they were one of the first bands to like actually add jazz into a rock and roll into a way that was that wasn't out there, that wasn't kind of crazy, that wasn't too progressive. So we picked up on that, and as we were playing the song, we kind of stopped and was like, "Hey, let's put this part in here and change it up," because it's really fun to take a song like that and change the mood, because it gives you that what's happening next type tape thing. So we always really enjoy playing that song live. We cut it out of the set there for a while because we're like, man, does people really get this? And then we put it back in when we came out with this new lineup, and people just ate it up. So we've kept it going and kept it out
I love
there.
it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, that was interesting to me coming into the band. I was listening to Eyes of the Sun, just going over different songs that they had done, and I had been studying jazz a lot because I just bought like a jazz drum set. I'd been teaching myself to read and like Art Blakey, Tony Williams, Billy Cobham, all the jazz guys, and so to hear that in rock and roll was dumbfounding for me at the time because I wasn't as into Allman Brothers as I am say now. So hearing that was like an experience for me too, and to be able to play it is just a blessing.
Yeah, I think didn't Billy Gibbons have a record he put out a little bit before we wrote that one?
He did. It's called Billy Gibbons and the BFGs, and the album's called Perfectamundo, and it's got all those great the Cuban Latin influences.
So check that one out if you haven't. That's a big part
killer
of where that
record.
one came from, I believe.
Well, fellas, this has been fun as shit. It's super cool hanging with you, getting to listen to your tunes I'm glad I know you all are super busy, so thank you for coming by, being really patient. I know you've been here forever. I'm glad you were patient because, like I said, you've been one of my favorite bands to come through here.
Thanks,
before we get going, just tell everybody like where can they find you? Are you on? I know you're on social media. Tell us where.
TheOtisBand.com. TheOtisBand.com. That'll take you to where you can listen to our music, find all our social medias. If you go over to the official links, that'll take you to all the, Facebook, Instagrams and stuff. Tour dates are all on the website. So I would direct people there first. And of course, TheOtisBand.com is the best way to find us for sure.
Okay.
Where do we find you, Spencer?
Well, I'm a luthier here in town. And so if you guys need any work, you can follow me at spencer.corbin. And just hit me up, send me a DM or whatever you want there. I'm also on Facebook, just Spencer Corbin on Facebook. And yeah, so that's where you can find me, Earl.
Yeah, you can Earl Bowman. I don't even know if I really even said my name to y'all because we were kind of hectic when we came in. But Earl Bowman Music.
Nice to meet you,
find
Earl.
me anywhere. Follow me, follow Spencer, follow these guys for sure. Follow the podcast. It takes like 2 fucking seconds to follow somebody.
Oh yeah.
If you like anything that's going on here today, hit the button. It just
and for
takes a second.
podcasts, that's
really
what matters,
helpful.
right?
Yeah,
the follows.
It does.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
it really. You wish that stuff didn't matter, but it does. What about
does.
you? Where do we find you?
So currently I've been trying to promote my music account. So that's Max, so MAX, Donahue, DONOHUE, music. No spaces, no other anything. That's on Instagram. I think it's on Twitter too. I'm not really on Facebook, but I'm trying to get back. I'm trying to get into it, guys. But yeah, lots of music coming there as well. Just my regular is max.donahue, DONOHUE again. If you want to see more personal, stupid shit, kind of. So.
Where do we find you?
You can find me Meg X Donahue. Same spelling as his.
Well, thank you all for coming.
Yes.
This
Thank you,
was
man.
super fun. I appreciate you all hanging with us, and I think that's it.
Yeah, we're good to go.
appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Man.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thanks.
For having us.